First thing, I think, is always read the book beforehand, just to yourself. Just to get a sense of the rhythm, a sense of the page turns, familiarize yourself with this script. When you are reading a picture book out loud, you have been cast in every role in a play. You really want to know kind of what your take is, what the rhythms of the book are, how those rhythms of that book are going to match your rhythms as a reader. You can familiarize yourself with any unfamiliar words, because there's nothing worse than just stumbling over a word in front of a bunch of kids you're trying to convince that you're really smart. So know the text, and especially take a good look at the pictures, because when you're up there reading a picture book to kids, you know, a picture book is words and pictures telling the story together. And in a good picture book, the pictures are going to be doing at least half the work. A lot of the time, they'll be doing 60, 70, 80, 90% of the narrative work. So the story that kids are going to be experiencing are told in the pictures. And once you're up there reading in front of a group of kids, you'll be so focused on the text and any child management you have to do as well, that you're not going to have the ability to give attention to the pictures at the same level that kids are. So if you very much want to know the story that these kids are going to be experiencing, you should take a good look at the pictures, because it's kind of your last chance. When you're up there, again, I think perform these things. Picture books are ephemeral. We think of them as the object itself, but actually it is a performance. Picture books are read out loud. That is how they are shared. I really do think they hold a lot in common with theater. So just by committing yourself to voices and facial expressions, that will be all the more engrossing for the kids listening. This story is conveyed through you, the adult reading the book out loud. Okay, now we're going to get a little controversial. Be discerning about adding extra commentary during the reading. Pausing to ask questions, pointing out things in the pictures to make sure that kids are noticing things. These things can break the spell of the picture book. For that first performance, that initial reading, let kids experience this as the artwork that it is. After that, it's very fun to go through, reread, look at these decisions, look at this little detail here, let's look under the jacket and take a look at the case, let's think about why the end papers are this color, let's predict and do all, that's all great. But that first time, if a picture book is well made, we are working to do that already. We are working to build anticipation. We are inspiring those predictions that are so important to teaching narrative. We are finding moments where we are asking kids questions. When I read this book out loud, I say, what rhymes with strudel? If I'm reading this, you guys were all silent. Nobody here said a thing. But if I'm reading this to kids, half of them scream, noodle! We are constructing these things to be performed. And a well-made picture book will stand on its own, just being read. And that love of an artwork, that genuine art experience is going to be what propels a group of kids to treat this as a text, to be examined and broken apart. So let the picture book work. Okay, this one is, this one's very personal. This is how I do it. Wordless picture books can be a real challenge to read out loud. Because you feel so silly. And so there's such a temptation to be like, look at this. Oh. But it just like, do it. Don't say anything. Just trust that they're not, trust that they're not looking at you, although they are looking at you. I'm gonna be honest, they are checking in with your face. But I think the best way to read a wordless book is to spend a lot of time on the spreads, let kids linger and understand and take it at their own pace. The magic of it is going to be the story that each individual student or kid you have is going to find as they find their way across the page. And if you're guiding it, if you're describing the pictures, or if you're sort of pointing out where they should look, you're imposing your reading on the kids. You gotta let them find their way through this book. So I think just standing there with all the dignity you can muster as you don't say anything for 3 to 7 minutes is the way to do it. Something that can really help is music behind a picture book, behind a wordless picture book. I'll often find a song that feels like it matches the spirit, or sometimes you even find things that like weirdly really match the pace, because picture books do have a lot in common with music, and often follow the rhythms of songs. So you will find songs that kind of eerily match the rhythm of a wordless picture book. I think music is really nice behind things generally too. Picture book readings, more and more, I find songs to put behind books that I'm reading. Sometimes there'll be, the music teacher will be there when I'm doing a school visit and will like accompany me on piano or guitar, and those have been some of the most magical readings I've ever done. This intersection of art, of literature and music. And I think that it works so well with picture books because the picture book, as a form, it collects so many other kinds of art. So obviously we have